Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, July 20th, 2021. Spooner Health CEO Mike Schafer is joining Fitzy and I today to give us some updates on all things COVID-19. Special thank you to all of our guests and co-hosts so far this month, including Congressman Tom Tiffany, Romaine Quinn, Adam Jarko, and Patty Shockner were on last week. This Thursday, so 2 days from now, I'll be joined by former Wisconsin Governor Rebecca Kleefisch, and I'll wrap up our Political Thursday shows the following Thursday with 25th District Senator and Senate Minority Leader Janet Bewley. She'll be popping on for a chat, but today is Positive Tuesday. Fitzy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. I've been up since 2:45.
Wow.
I've had a pot and a half of coffee. I just woke up. I mean, I usually get up around 4, but it's just ding.
Wow.
And I spent that first hour, by the way, anticipating, because anticipation denotes intelligence, and I'm a reasonably intelligent man, contrary to popular belief. So I was trying to figure out what your question is going to be for our trivia question, so I was prepared to answer it. So, as always, I'm sorry. First, Mike, good morning. Thanks for coming back on, buddy.
Good morning. It's kind of strange to be here at the beginning. Usually you don't give me a whole show. You just patch me in at some point.
He got smarter, obviously, by getting up at 3 in the morning, huh, Mike?
There we go. Yeah.
I love it. We start with some criticism right away. That's fantastic. Okay. Very positive.
Yeah.
And see, I even have a background just for you, Mike, because you're a hockey guy.
I like it. I didn't hear any criticism in there.
Yeah.
Stating fact.
Can you name that game, by the way? I bet your son could.
I recognize which hockey game it is, but I can't name it. Sorry.
My favorite one growing up, Blades of Steel, by the way.
There we go.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so let's get to our trivia questions. I know we want to talk about, there was an officer involved shooting, the Barron County critical incident investigation. I wanted to ask Fitzy about qualified immunity, his views on that. Of course, Mike, being the Spooner Health CEO, is going to talk about COVID, give some updates, vaccination, kind of where are we in all this stuff. But first, as always, we like to do a trivia. And the last time we were on, we're off last week, but we started something new where it is, where is there? Boy, do I even have the rules? I don't even think I have the rules written down. Oh, there it is.
I do.
Yep, here it is. So you get 3 points, and we both do it. The goal is to get as many points. As soon as we get 25, then we're going to do like a gift card giveaway. And after 1 week, we're already at minus 2 points. So it's not going very well. So you get 3 points if you answer the question without multiple choice options, 2 points once you are given 4 options, and 1 point if you remove 2 options. So there's only 2 left, so it's a 50-50 chance. At any point, if you guess wrong, you lose a point and can't continue on. So here is my question for you, Fitzy, and we can use Mike as like phone a friend kind of a thing.
Okay.
So mine are going to be about DrydenWire. I think yours is about the sheriff's office.
Right.
What
is DrydenWire.com, so not our Facebook page, but our business is our website, DrydenWire.com, our largest age demographic? Now, obviously, don't answer it yet. Think about it. But in this case, you know, it's about a 10 year, like 35 to 44, etc. But if you just want to guess an age, that's fine. So think about that. What is your question for me, Fitzy?
How many accidents did we handle in 2020?
Oh, no one's ever going to get a gift card. All right, I'm going to think about that one. But first, for Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden. You're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by ICAA. ICAA is your local social service organization that works together with individuals, families, and the community to create and support local solutions for local needs. Their goal is to help remove barriers so people can access resources, education, and services to increase financial security. For a full list of services, find them on Facebook or check them out on their website at IndianHeadCAA.org. Mike, do you have any? I mean, Fitzy, can you can I get close?
Yeah, plus or minus 10.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're plus or minus 10, I'll give you 3 points. If you're plus or minus 20,
yep, no, definitely not.
Yeah,
we need 4 questions. I'll skip the 3. I can't guess that one.
Well, come on.
No. So I have no clue. Like 410, but I don't want to lose a point. We're already down -2. So give us the 4 options.
You want 4 options?
Yeah. Multiple choice.
Multiple choice. So I'll just give you 4 numbers, and then you can.
Yeah,
pick
that's
it.
how this works. You're not really prepared for this, are you?
No,
I even texted you at 7 this morning and said, "Don't forget."
Dave Wilson says 47. That's Shell Lake, Dave. We're big. We're big.
Ugh.
We're big time, Dave. Dave.
Ouch! Ouch!
320, 330, 340, or 350.
Well,
Before he answers, let me show you something.
What?
Can you see the number I wrote down?
what?
I wrote that down. Right
We're going with
before. So I'm
330.
in the right area.
We're going with 330.
No, it's 340, but he was close.
What you said was in 10.
Well, you said I couldn't do that, so I gave you 4 numbers to pick.
Now you're changing the rules.
I'll give you 1 point there.
Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it.
330.
All
Wow,
right.
that was good.
Good guess.
That's incredible, Mike. I never
Actually,
would
can you
have
just
gotten
let me
close.
and Mike talk?
Yep, no problem. Yeah, someone said on our politically speaking show last Thursday that Adam and Patty were the best parts. I'm like, I know. If I could just do the show without me on, ratings would go up. All right. So for you, largest demographic. Can you guess that, or do you want multiple choice?
I want multiple choice.
A, 25 to 34. B, 35 to 44. C, 45 to 54. Or D, 55 to 64. If you get it right, you get 2 points. Or, and we'll change it up, you get to remove 2 of those if you want to narrow it down a little bit.
I'll go with. Give me my choices again.
25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, or 55 to 64. Well, you may want to ask your friend.
That's my friend. What's he got for a number?
I
think I know
45 to 54 would be my guess.
So that'd be C,
Yep.
and that's Matt's.
I'm going with C.
You
too.
sure you don't want to remove 2? Okay, that is
Nope, I won't.
also incorrect. There's the graphic
Is it
right
D?
there. So you're close.
I
So
wanted to say D, but I
yeah,
thought
it's 55 to 64.
I was going with Wilson's guess. Dave Wilson, he had 47, and we thought that's maybe that. Like Kevin said, maybe he was guessing the demographic.
Yeah, maybe.
So
Oh, you know what? That's probably right.
yeah,
And actually, he still would have been wrong on that one too. All right. So
we suck at trivia.
-1, and thankfully you gave me a point. So now we're after 2 shows, we are at -3.
No, I gave you. We're at -2, so we're at minus.
We were at -2 before. You gave me 1 point, but you just lost a point. So now we're at total minus.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Mike, how's it going?
Well, you asked me to come up with a trivia question for today, so I got one for you both.
Oh, hey, we can get some points back here, Fitzy.
Bonus 5
I'm
points.
not so sure. Since we're talking COVID, since the beginning of COVID, how many total COVID tests do you think have been sampled at Spooner Health? Whether we take the sample and send it to Essentia or do them internal, in a county with a population of 15,000, how many COVID tests?
Fitzy, we just literally need 1 point. I'd say we ask for the 4 options. What do you think?
All right, let's ask for the 4 options.
4. All right, give us 4
I'm
options.
real generous. Less
Thank
than 4,000, between 4,000 and 6,000, between 6,000 and 8,000, or more than 8,000.
I have no clue.
Well, it's tests, so multiple tests, multiple people. Some people have been tested multiple times because of their work or their kids. So
I'm thinking 8,000 more, right? D?
that's what I'm going with too.
So should we ask him to remove 2 and at least try to get 1 point so we can finish at 0 for the? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go D, 8,000 or more.
I think you should remove 2.
We're going to go take away 8,000 and more. And take away 4
Got
to.
to be C then.
Wait, I can't say take this one away if one of them is right. Take another one away for us, Mike. Take away 8,000 and another
Take
one.
away the less than 4,000.
I still don't know. 4 to 6 or 6 to 8? What do we do?
It's got to be 60.
6 to 8. There you go.
7,012.
We broke even for the day. We're still at -2. All right.
For a bonus
7,000.
point, out of those 7,012, how many have been positive tests?
Percentage wise?
Number wise, because I didn't do the math.
These are terrible questions. I have no clue.
I know.
4. That's not right. That was not right.
How many positives you had?
Yes, out of the 7,000.
Less than 500.
783. Oh,
Not bad, Ben. 892.
hey.
Mm.
All right. Well, we're gonna get to some more.
Out of 7,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
You think about 7,000 COVID tests for something we'd never done before. And with all the PPE and having to set up a drive-through clinic, it's been quite a year. Our staff, as staffs from hospitals, throughout the state and country have done, they've just done a great job in coming up with new processes and taking care of that. It's completely different than any other type of testing we've done. So
I can imagine. So obviously there's a ton of stuff we want to, both Fitzy and I have questions for you regarding COVID and vaccines and the updates there. But first, as we always do, anything that's new going on, Fitzy, I know you just got finished doing was it the Donut Dash?
The Donut Dash. Barron County Fair is over. I'm
Maybe
still
that's
recovering.
what it was. Okay.
Yeah, well, the Donut Dash was in there too.
Sure.
But the Barron County Fair was huge this year. Record crowds, record sales. The 4-H sales were record. I watched a cow get sold for $8 and some cents a pound, and it normally sells for like $4.50 to $5. I mean, it was some big money to those 4-H kids. It was great. The crowds were just tremendous. I can barely talk yet. We talked to so many people over the 5 days of the fair. We only had rain on a half a day of the whole 5 days. It was just we sold out our grandstand. The Donut Dash had 135 runners. We raised over $1,500 for Shop with the Cop. It was just a great, great fair. People were happy and had a lot of fun. They don't know how to park. We had a lot of parking problems, but I think it was because the crowd was so big. But it was just the food vendors, the carnival. I mean, everybody just had a ball. So it was great, and we interacted with a lot of people, a lot of kids, and a lot of support for law enforcement, which is really special. We brought all of our guys there. When they were on duty and they weren't working, they came and did a lap at the fair, and a lot of people thanked them. You give your shout out to your hospital workers, and you don't get to have an opportunity for those people to go out in the public and get thanked in their uniform. So it's kind of tough to feel to feel the love, and we felt the love, and it was really, really special fair. And I just can't thank the Fair Association and all the workers at the fair, the 4-H kids, the projects. I mean, it was great.
Maybe you said something. I was reading a text, so I wasn't paying attention to part of that. Did you say how much? Because this was for Shop with the Cop, right? How much was raised?
We raised over $1,500 for Shop with the Cop.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, man. I missed that. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Now, is this like the biggest event that you do for Shop with the Cop? I mean, is this like where most of your money comes from, or this is? Well,
it can, usually. I mean, sometimes Walmart usually gives us, between Walmart and Pepsi, they give us $1,000 to $2,000. So, and then each police department, raises a little bit of their own money, $500 to $1,000. So we spend about $10,000 to $12,000 in December on kids that just need a little extra special Christmas. And so that's what we do with the money. It's tough to think about Christmas in July, but it was a great fundraiser. The morning was beautiful, and we ended up having 35 runners come and show up, and that morning it was great.
Yeah, another follow-up to that, I guess, is how did this all come to be? Because this isn't just Barron County. There's others that do similar things in terms of law enforcement, raising money to help kids and families during Christmas. How did that really start? Because that isn't something that I think that you just woke up one day and go, I got an idea for a fundraiser. We're cops. We should do things for kids at Christmas. Obviously, a lot of that is a PR thing, right? But that's not the goal behind it. The goal is to actually get these gifts for these kids, etc. But do you remember where this all started?
I don't remember who. I mean, it was prior. I started it in Barron County, but I got the idea from some other police or sheriff's department around the area. I mean, we started with 12 kids. And at one point, it was just the sheriff's department, and we did it for 12 kids, and we spent like $1,000. And now we do like 85 kids, and we spend like $12,000. And so, I mean, we have pictures of every year. And it was, I think the first year we did it was like 6 cops, and like I said, like 12 kids, and we didn't know. And then it got bigger and bigger, and then all the PDs jumped in, and we just do this big event every year, and it's just a cool event to see all these cops at the same time at Walmart. And we've actually gotten too big. We kind of got to go to 2 nights because
Right.
it's just we'll have to close Walmart and do it on our own.
Large police presence at Walmart.
Yes. So it was just a cool thing and a great thing to do. And again, it's about us giving back to the community because they do support us a lot. And so it was just a great time at the fair and Shop with the Cop.
Nice. And Mike, you have something coming up, don't you? A golf tournament?
Oh, yeah, we have our annual golf outing, August 11th. We did not do it last year, of course, with COVID. Looking for people who want to come out and have a good time, whether you're an accomplished golfer or a duffer. We have all sorts, but it's a fun day. The tournament always flows well, lots of prizes. We're doing something a little different this year. Typically, we recently have used the proceeds from the golf tournament towards our scholarship fund, which we provide scholarships for students, high school students going into healthcare-related fields. And we always have great support from area merchants who donate hole prizes and door prizes and stuff like that. Coming out of COVID, realizing that it was tough times for all our businesses, we've actually purchased some of those door prizes and supported our local business who've supported us in the past. And this year, any funds that we receive is going to Washburn County First, a group that has been instrumental in typically, I guess more than anything, feeding people in that during the pandemic. They're still really working on that. So we're using this year's tournament to give back to those who've supported us. So they're happy to be doing that. So it'd be great to see you come out and take a few divots out of the Spooner Golf Club.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, Fitzy and I'll
I'm
be
in.
Wait, no, your arm.
What's that?
Yeah, you're right. On my arm, I can't golf
You can
yet.
putt. Like
I'll-
I can't drive, but I can irons pretty well. So we'll find someone else to drive. I'll hit some irons and you putt. It'll be a team effort.
Okay, I'll drive the car.
Well, Fitzy could drive the golf cart.
Right, yeah. And I can putt. Yeah, I can putt still.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're in.
Yeah. So let's move on.
Right.
We have.
Wait, is DrydenWire a sponsor?
That's a good question. I haven't seen them on our list yet. Thanks.
Fine, I'll be the sponsor. How much is it?
We'll talk offline. Depends on which level. We'd love to see it a platinum, but I'm guessing
Okay.
that's not where you're going to be.
Yeah, probably not. We're a free media outlet, but we'll do our best. Thanks a lot, Fitzy.
Thanks. I owe you one, Fitzy.
Yeah, no problem.
What a jerk. All right, so we always like to go through any press releases or articles that we've done. I know I have an update that is going to be coming, I think, today or tomorrow. It was about a person from Barron, but it's a Washburn County one, but it's not up yet. So the only thing that we had, but unfortunately it was kind of a bigger one, and that was the regarding the Barron County critical incident investigation. Obviously, as always, it's an ongoing investigation, so you can't say much. So what can you tell us, Fitzy?
I can't say much at all about it, and basically I can read the press release again. We had an incident. I mean, that's all I can talk about because we're not investigating it. I mean, none of our people are involved in the investigation. It's an outside agency. That's how those critical incidents work. But we were called for a wellness check of an adult after he made a threat to a person who lived nearby. He barricaded himself in a room with a firearm. We tried to talk to the subject through a standoff, and at one point the subject raised a firearm and the deputy fired a shot at the subject, and he was struck. And aid was rendered, and an outside agency was called in. So that's about where it stands. We had, and just on that note, that was the second SWAT call of the day. We had 2 SWAT call-outs that day. So we're up to 15 SWAT call-outs for the year. So I mean,
And to remind everybody again, how many did you have last year?
I think I had it right here, 6 or 8. I can't remember. So I think we've doubled now, and we're only in July. We were over in Rusk County earlier that day helping U.S. Marshals with a warrant, and that incident ended without any incident. And
Sure. Right.
obviously, we try to do what we can to resolve all these situations. 14 of the 15 have resulted in 0 injuries to the suspect and 0 injuries to officers. So, but
Can you say, do you have any information? Again, it's perfectly fine if not. I think one thing that we've kind of done on the show is that there isn't a topic that we won't talk about, and you've proven over and over again, I'll say as much as I possibly can. So with that being said, do you have any update on the on the person that was shot in terms of is it life-threatening thing? I can't remember if that was in the press release or not.
I think they said, as far as I know, critical but stable, and I
Sure.
understand that still be true. But
Oh.
we haven't gotten an update for several days, so
Okay.
I can't tell you
Sure.
uh, uh, anything about that. So
Sure.
we are strictly out of this,
Yeah.
and that's how it works. I mean, we're strictly out of the loop, and outside investigators come here and do their thing. Our detectives assist them if they need to say, how do I get a hold of X? Because some of these detectives that are here, DCI, obviously we use them through like the Kloss case, and we use them through different things, and they're agents throughout the state of Wisconsin. So some of them have been here. I mean, obviously they all have probably been here from the Kloss case, but some of them, if they're new to the area, maybe have never even been here, don't even know who our officers are. So we may assist them in getting that information, but that's the extent of the invitation. We don't do any interviews or anything like that
Sure.
in a critical incident about this. And we don't have to use DCI. We chose to do DCI. We can use another county agency. It just has to be outside of the county that you're in. So that's how they work.
Is this you've been the sheriff for 13 years,
Sure.
if I recall.
Yep.
I knew that because I looked up this morning in case you were going to ask that as your trivia question. And you've been in law enforcement for 24 years. I also knew that one.
Yeah.
Is this the first? No, this can't be. Or is it? I don't know. How many
it's the
officer
second
involved?
one. It's
Second?
second one since
Okay.
I've been sheriff.
Sure. So when it comes to that
7
stuff,
years ago.
so not this case specifically. Just to be very clear. Not this case specifically. Let's talk mental health, which is perfect because Mike is on. It's a little bit different kind of health, but still. These officers, deputies, when you go through that, I cannot imagine being in that position. I mean, you train, but as you and I have talked before, you can't really train a real life situation. You can train for it, but it's not a real life situation. And pulling a trigger, whether it was justified or not, again, that's whatever. But man, that's got to mess with your head a little bit. I mean, you have to go through a mental process here from what you've read or in your experience in the past or talking to other deputies that have been involved or other sheriffs that have had an investigation. Where is that something that is being considered or something that you want to make sure the individual is taken care of in terms of the deputy for their mental health?
Exactly. We have a person on site that has had contact with all of the people involved, not just the person who pulled the trigger. It was all of the deputies that were on scene. We have a wellness or EAP program that they're all taking part in. We'll actually have a critical incident debrief with everybody involved after what we have. We have what's called a shooting review panel, which determines, again, outside law enforcement agencies, outside of the Barron Sheriff's Department law enforcement agencies, surrounding sheriffs or police chiefs come and review our policies and review the incident and say they didn't violate any policies. So that's a shooting review panel. That decision will come out next week, and then the district attorney makes a determination, that the officer acted right or wrong, just like we had with the Jacob Blake case. Mm-hmm. That's a perfect example of shooting review panel. You've seen all these shootings, and then the district attorney said no charges. The officer in the Jacob Blake case didn't do anything wrong. He acted. He was making a legal arrest. He acted. His use of force, the level of the use of force was justified based on X, Y, and Z. And our district attorney will make that determination. Our shooting review panel will make that determination, just like we did 7 years ago when we had a shooting. We didn't hit the person at that time, but we used force. So anytime we even use a force, we have those things. So just because someone gets shot or doesn't get shot, we have all these processes in place, and I think they're good processes. They make that determination, and that's where law enforcement is tough, but stand by what was done and everything that went on, and sure. I don't see an issue. But again, I have not reviewed one single report or watched one single video, squad cam, body cam, anything like that, because that was turned over directly to our DCI.
Mike, do you have any follow-up questions before we move on?
No real questions. Just, again, thanks to all law enforcement. I can't imagine the situations you step into, not knowing, even traffic stops nowadays, not knowing what you're stepping into. I greatly appreciate all you guys do, all law enforcement do to keep us safe. So thanks.
So we're already, since I think we spent a little more time on the trivia than I anticipated. I just want before we go on to Mike, I want to ask you about your view on qualified immunity. I'm bringing this up for a reason. It's not even necessary for the show, but I was just curious what your view is on that.
My view on qualified immunity, it
Qualified
protects the office.
Mhm.
Qualified immunity. It's basically, it protects the government official, law enforcement officer from lawsuits alleging that the officer violated a plaintiff's rights. Our job as the sheriff's department is to protect our deputies and make sure that they do everything right. If you take qualified immunity away, you can sue the actual individual for doing their job. And I don't know that that's right. You can sue the county or the hospital or whoever you want to sue, but I don't think you should be able to sue the individual officers for doing their job just because you're upset with the answer. I mean, people don't like answers we give, whether it's in this case, whether it's in, we've seen other cases where people don't like the answers. Doesn't mean the answer's wrong just because you don't like it.
Right.
But it's just tough, and I don't think we need to keep our officers protected as much as we can. Now, if officers violate people's rights, they get terminated, or whatever the situation is, disciplined,
Sure.
something like that. So I think there's a process in place for that, but I don't think you should be able to just, it's just, as somebody put, it's necessary, period.
Yeah.
It just keeps our cops from not wanting to do their job. It keeps them protected because they have to make tough decisions, split-second decisions, and to keep citizens around them safe.
Yeah, I've actually had some conversations with other individuals in law enforcement, some of them in, I don't know, we'll just call it high-ranking positions, that have stated that if that does get overturned, like they would literally leave law enforcement. And they weren't kidding. It's, yep, I'm out. We can't do the job if we don't have that. Real quick, this was a follow-up here. Fitzy, if you can see that. This is regarding obviously that incident.
Yeah. Do we check with neighbors after the incidents? Well, we take statements, what's called a neighborhood canvas. We do that. But do we have resources of counselors? Probably not. But if someone called and said I needed help, we would get them the right help. Sure. So if a neighbor called and said, man, I'm struggling with this, I don't know what neighbors saw or heard anything because, again, I haven't seen any of the reports. I know a neighborhood canvas was done, but that's all I know.
Sure.
But if anybody calls and needs help, we have services. And Mike can probably comment more on those services. I don't know. If someone called looking for help, does your hospital have services like that, or do you get them to the county, or who does that, Mike?
We don't provide mental health services directly, but we often end up making referrals, whether it's to county mental health, private mental health providers.
We would do the exact same thing there. So.
Got it. All right, so you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by ICAA. So obviously we have Spooner Health CEO Mike Schafer here. So COVID-19, if I smile or I laugh about anything, I have to find levity and stuff, just how I process things. But obviously it's a very serious thing. But it seems like it's kind of making a comeback. At least that's what I see in terms of news, and it's more, I don't really necessarily see it in our area yet, but you see things that I don't see. So not the vaccination part yet, but just COVID. There's a new variant or something that people are talking about. Is this a thing? Is this something we should be doing differently? Where is this heading? Start wherever you would like, but first, is this something we should be concerned about?
Yes. COVID is still real. It's been real all along. It's still real. What you're talking about is the Delta variant. The Delta variant has become, or is expected to become, the predominant variant that we see in the United States here shortly. And we have some areas of the country being hit pretty hard right now, particularly areas with low vaccination rates. I read about my colleagues in Missouri. Some of the hospitals in Missouri are dealing with exactly the same things we were dealing with at the height of the pandemic, with full hospital beds, no place to put these COVID people. I shouldn't say no place, they're struggling to find places. And what I'm seeing, or what I'm reading, is we're seeing some of the younger people more affected by the Delta, and hospitalizations are happening in younger people versus predominantly that over age 65 where we had it before. So it's real. The pandemic still exists, contrary to what Adam Jarko said on your show the other day.
Oh, you didn't like that?
I really enjoyed that show, and I found myself agreeing with some of what Patty said and some of what Adam said, but I found myself angry at both of them too. So I guess it was a good show.
It's a great show.
But we are still in the pandemic. We're fortunate in our area. I mean, we've seen, looking at your numbers that you post now, it's nice that you only have to post them twice a week, because numbers are down so much. Yeah. But in Washburn County, we've only seen a couple new cases over the last couple weeks. And a lot of that has to do with vaccination rates. Statewide, we're seeing just over 51% of our population has received the vaccine. Washburn County, we're at 54.4 that have received at least one shot percent of people. Still too low. We'd like to see it higher. The good news, though, is when we first started hearing about COVID, it was protect the most vulnerable, and that most vulnerable are our elderly. In Washburn County, we have 92.4% of our seniors over age 65 have received at least one dose of the vaccination.
Wow!
And at the 55 to 64 level, it's 68.5. Barron County isn't doing quite as good. I looked at those numbers. They're at 44.1%.
I figured that was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, we're an area show. It's not just Washburn
No,
County.
it's always a fight between Washburn and Barron. So I'm just really, really happy to hear you say that. I mean, I'm not.
I'm losing.
Again.
I'm losing you guys. I'm in a tunnel.
I'm not trying to pick on Barron County. It's just the reality. Washburn County is one of the top 10 counties in the state for vaccination rate.
Outstanding.
And I do think I give a lot of credit to Washburn County Public Health, the area providers, Indiana Medical Center, Spooner Health, and our clinics in Northwoods Community and Essentia, because we all were on this and working together long before the vaccine came out and trying to educate. So, in what I'm reading, it's the people who are unvaccinated, for the most part, are being hospitalized and who are dying, because we're still seeing deaths from COVID. And the simple solution, get vaccinated. There's a lot of people spreading a lot of reasons not to be vaccinated, but the vaccinations are proving to work. They're proving to work against the Delta variant as well. Yes, vaccinated people are still getting COVID. There's a lot of breakthrough COVID cases that are happening, but those people are typically very minor symptoms or asymptomatic.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, getting in an accident and not having a seatbelt. You're more likely going to survive it if you have a seatbelt on. But it doesn't necessarily mean if you get in an accident without one, you're going to die. But the odds drastically improve. So now when you look at those numbers, so 92%, 68%, the next demographic, is it just continuing lower and lower percentages for each age demographic as it goes down?
Yes, it is. It just a graph. You'd see the graph going down each way.
Sure.
I can give it to you quick because I have it right up here on my screen.
Sure.
The lowest is the 12 to 15 at 22.5. It just keeps going up. 34% of the 18 to 24-year-olds, 34.1% of the 25 to 34. Then we hop over 40% for each demographic over age 35. So yeah, it definitely, but it also goes with, as we talked about those most vulnerable, what we saw is a lot of those in the younger demographics that have some of those chronic conditions got vaccinated as well. So we talk about the elderly being the most vulnerable, which they are, but those with other chronic conditions were considered vulnerable as well. So I think we've done, at least in our county, we've done a good job of reaching out and trying to get to most of those.
Sure. So is before it was the most vulnerable, and that was the older age group. So obviously that's what everyone was talking about, and the vaccinations show, at least in Washburn County, the percentage, 92%. The younger, we weren't really talking about that as often. So are you saying that, or actually I want to know, is this simply because they aren't vaccinated in terms of the younger and they are getting it, or is this Delta variant becoming something where now younger people are more susceptible to getting it where they weren't a year ago?
Everything I'm reading is you're seeing younger people catch the Delta variant. It's much more contagious, and it hits the younger people more than we saw with the early version. I think they call it the Alpha variant. There's been the different variants. And there's a big question too. Those who've had COVID, studies are showing that they have strong immunity at least 9 months after having COVID. What nobody knows for sure, though, is will that immunity work against the variants, like a Delta variant? There's all the proof in the world that if you've had COVID, 9 months later, you're probably not going to get the same variant of COVID you had. But there haven't been enough studies yet to show, does that give you natural immunity against the variants as now it's a Delta, who knows what the next variant will be, where the vaccinations, especially the mRNAs, the Moderna and Pfizer's, are shown to provide immunity against those.
So, do you think, Mike, that the vaccination age is going to drop here shortly to maybe 10 or instead of 15 and 16-year-olds? You think that's coming shortly?
Well, I think it's at 12 now.
Oh, it's
Oh,
12.
What
I
I've
don't
been
know.
hearing is probably not before the school year starts, but eventually they'll be going for authorization for 6 and older.
Okay. Because that really, I mean, if you think about that, you looked at your numbers that 54% of the people in Washington County are vaccinated. 10 or 20% got to be under the age of the vaccination rate. So you're looking at, a
Yep.
pretty good rate of
Oh, sure.
people that are vaccinated in Washburn County or could be vaccinated. So that are eligible. So your numbers are, I mean, Barron County would have the same numbers. We have way more kids, and so that's probably why our numbers are
Sure,
very
sure.
That's a good point. I know early on, I was always looking at the numbers in our percentages,
Mhm.
and I was taking out the 15% of our population that's under age 18 that wasn't, at that time, wasn't eligible, just to get an idea. Knew we were always doing pretty good with the demographics that could receive it. I mean, the bad news, though, is the demand for vaccine has basically ground to a halt. We were emailing back and forth with the county and the providers just last week just to see. We occasionally get a patient who's in the ER who wants a vaccine. Well, we don't store vaccine here. Its shelf life is so short, different things. So in working with the other providers, the county is still doing vaccination clinics every Wednesday. They may see 5 people at a vaccination clinic, but it's still there if people want to get vaccinated. But that to me is the sad thing, is to see how that's stalled, because we've been stuck, over 50% for months, for a couple months at least.
Yeah.
We just don't see that creeping up. And,
Mhm.
there's people have very strong feelings about vaccination. I was reading one study that said 10% of the population of the United States is still in a wait and see attitude. Hopefully they'll see that, while you hear anecdotally about some of the bad things of the vaccination, every study that I've seen that has talks about side effects of the vaccination, the bad side effects are a much, much lower percentage than those who have COVID, potentially to get the same type of side effects. So the vaccine's proven very safe.
So are we heading for so I think you may have already said this. I was writing down some notes here. If someone went in and got a vaccine now, is that for the Delta or is it for the Alpha and maybe the whatever the B and C was? And if it isn't for the Delta, but even it still may help, are we set for another round of this fall? I think you had said 9 months. You should be kind of good as of right now. Well, that's going to be coming up here relatively shortly. This year, are we going to go back through another cycle of doesn't matter if you had the first one, you got to go get another one?
Well, the first off, when I talked about the 9 months natural immunity, that's what they've been able to study so far based on when COVID started. There's indications that it'll be much longer than 9 months. So I might have kind of misled you there. But right now, I mean, we've only been dealing with COVID since, March of last year. It seems a lot longer.
Sure.
As far as boosters go, for those of us that have been vaccinated, the jury's out. Pfizer has come out and publicly stated that a booster would give you 10 times the effective coverage you have now. But everything that I've seen still says we still have very strong immune response if you've been vaccinated with a Pfizer or a Moderna, and that a vaccine or that a booster may not be necessary in the near future. Again, jury's still out as they study it.
All right, we have a question here for Dave Armstrong. What are the numbers of vaccinated plus those that have had it and have some natural immunity? Is that closer to herd immunity?
Well,
Mike, why don't you take that one?
I'm a business person, not a scientist or a doctor, but my understanding, again, it comes down to, if you look at those who have natural immunity, it definitely in our counties brings up that level closer to herd immunity to those who've had along with the vaccinations, those who have been infected. However, like I said earlier, with the Delta variant, and there's real questions whether you've had another variant, whether you will be immune from the Delta variant, that could drop that number down quite significantly for those who've had COVID and had a different variant. Nobody knows for sure at this point, I guess, is what I'd say.
So what, to kind of put a bow on this right now, if people aren't vaccinated, why should they? now, because I think you had mentioned earlier that it's kind of this, I'm not really seeing that 50% number going up that much. It's 50.2 and then 50.3, and it's not really going up. What message do you have for them?
I just, the pandemic still is here. We are still dealing with COVID. We're dealing with a new variant that's unknown how it's going to affect those who've had COVID. We know that in certain parts of the country that the Delta variant is putting people in the hospital and killing people. And we know that the vaccine works against the Delta variant. To me, it's been so fun to see things get back more towards normal.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris talked about the Barron County Fair.
Yeah.
I was out of town for the rodeo, but my wife and daughter went and said it was great to see a packed crowd there. It's nice to have those things happening. Yet, as the Delta variant takes off, if it gets into our area, those, not so much the outdoor events, but some of the things, we could see a spike again. And I just think by getting the vaccination, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family from the potential of getting a disease that's very bad for some people and kills some people.
Speaking of which, outdoor event, the three of us were at the 4th of July fair together. I mean, not like together. We didn't ride together or anything, but...
But back to your point, Mike, I think that's, and you said it earlier, the vaccinations have proven to be safe. And I understand people are out there going to say, man, I've only been, my whole family has it because my daughter works in healthcare, my wife works in healthcare, my son wanted it so he can play sports. I wanted it to protect the people that I work with here. And I had COVID too. So I've had it both. To Dave's point, I think there is some of that. You can add some herd immunity or some numbers to that herd immunity number because we've had it and it's supposed to stay with us and make our system somewhat protective of it. But the vaccination also has proven to be safe. And I know there'll be the people out there that say, well, I've only had the vaccination for 6 months, so how do I really know it's safe? Well, I've had no side effects for 6 months, so that's, no, you're right. I can only say it to up to 6 months, and but I haven't turned green yet, so I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
So,
and if you want,
and to that point.
And if you want to go to Canada, they're opening the border the 9th to fully vaccinated people.
Why would anybody want to go to Canada?
Well, my in-laws have a cabin in Canada. So
there's reason number 2. In-laws. Nope.
What's that?
In-laws? What are you talking about? That's another reason not to go to Canada if you got in-laws up there. Nothing.
Then they leave. They go to Canada. That's
I see. Yeah. Nothing good comes from Canada.
So is that what it is? I haven't heard that. So Canada's borders open up to fully vaccinated people.
Trudeau has said August 9th, fully vaccinated people. The caveat is you still have to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours because I was talking to the owner of our junior team here in Spooner, and of course they play in a Canadian league. So not only will their players all have to be vaccinated, they're working on how to get COVID testing 72 hours before every time they cross the border, at least for now.
So I just have one more question on this, and then we'll get to final words. I don't want to obviously create a panic or a fear or anything weird, but if this Delta going to be a little bit for younger people or more, susceptible to it, school just got out. However, school's right around the corner. Do you anticipate everything opening up as normal in terms of schools and just in our area, maybe not specifically Spooner or Shell Lake, but in our area? Is this something that parents should be also paying attention to in terms of the age groups that are potentially or are getting COVID?
A little out of my league as far as having an opinion. What I'm hearing is schools are looking at opening up normal. We are seeing, like I said, 20-some% of that 12-year-old group being vaccinated. So we're seeing that. Teachers are vaccinated or have had the opportunity to be vaccinated as well. I'm all for as much normalcy as possible, and I hope to see our schools are able to do that. The way to assure it is to keep increasing vaccination rates amongst everybody.
Yeah. Fitzy, any questions for Mike?
No, he did a good job of explaining it, and we just want to keep doing what we're doing. Everybody enjoyed the fair, this rodeo. We want to have these golf tournaments. We want to be up there. We just want to keep doing it, so we got to keep working at it a little bit at a time. And Mike and his crew in public health and public health here in Barron County have done a tremendous job. And they take a lot of, criticism once in a while, just like law enforcement does, just like media does, just like whoever. And so we just got to bring it down a little bit and just keep doing what we're doing. And we got to pick at it, I guess, and keep adding to the numbers. So appreciate it, Mike. Thanks to your staff for all they do and our public health workers.
Yeah, and here's another thing. I haven't seen a lot of bullying. Now, obviously, social media is one thing. Like Twitter is in a whole other world. But when it comes like people getting vaccinated and then, people just hating them for getting vaccinated, or people aren't getting vaccinated and people kind of hating on them. I mean, it's a personal choice. Just that. It's a personal choice. But I really haven't seen that in our area. And maybe that's another reason number 164 that Northwest Wisconsin and our communities, which just makes up one large rural community here, is so great. Because I really haven't seen a lot of that. I don't know if you guys have, but I haven't, and that's awesome.
No, it's a personal choice. We still see people wearing masks. That's a personal choice as well. If people feel more comfortable wearing a mask, more power to them. I know I get a chance to talk about the great job our staff does here. And I appreciate the platform, but I do want to say it's not just us. I mean, healthcare workers, county public health workers throughout the state, Northwest Wisconsin, just a great group of people who've been committed to trying to keep people safe and in providing healthcare during. I've been doing this 35 years. I've never seen anything like this before. So just shout out to everybody who works in healthcare who has really been affected by this. I would like to mention too, we talk about things getting back to normal, but there's still things, we still have some pretty strict CDC guidelines on how we use PPE and that in the hospital. We typically do our annual health fair the first weekend of August, which brings hundreds of people into our building. We do health screenings. We have other people with booths set up to show off other healthcare providers and what they do. For the second year in a row, we can't do that. We just can't bring people into the hospital like that. But what we did last year and we're doing again this year, we are still offering some free health screenings. That is why a lot of people come to the health fair, is to have their cholesterol, their blood sugar, and that checked. So I would just mention to people, there's information on our website. We still want to provide that service to the community, so we found a way to do it without doing the full-blown health fair.
I bet you don't even know your website URL. What's your website?
www.spoonerhealth.com.
Okay.
You're wrong again, Ben.
Oh, now to -5 now.
-5. Yeah, great.
And for the record, I am not a Chicago Bears fan. So.
What my sources told me. Yep, no, my inside sources told me. I have one inside source.
We'll be able to start talking football pretty soon.
Yeah, I put up on a preview for our show that he's an avid Bears fan, according to a DrydenWire source. Now, I can't say who my source is because that's not how it works. Because I promised your wife I wouldn't say her name.
Chris, right. I just thank you for dressing professionally today.
What? You don't like my Call Me Big Papa shirt? Come on, man. My kids got that for me. All righty. Special thank you to our guest today, Spooner Health CEO Mike Schafer. And by the way, don't forget to vote Ben Dryden. Don't forget, I'll be back this Thursday for a live chat with former Wisconsin Governor Rebecca Clayfish. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by ICAA. ICAA is your local social service organization that works together with individuals, families, and the community to create and support local solutions for local needs. For a full list of services, find them on Facebook or check them out at IndianHeadCAA.org. Until next week, stay safe, stay positive, and as always, have a blessed day. Mike, do I have your vote, by the way?
It's still up in the air.